Did this computer when we last left off? Speaker. We were talking about some more things with classes. We had hit a chapter where we're going back to classes that you learned in 121. You're going to get a lot of it in 230, but we're doing some stuff now in 162. And one of the things that we needed to kind of to lead into something that's really good is we talked about how would we copy objects? Oh, look at me writing and you can't see it. Look at that. How to copy objects. And we talked something like if I have a rectangle object and I said R1 equals R2, all that's being copied is the address. And we want to do a little bit more deep copying. And this might be something we want to do, copy that address, but I don't know if that's really going to be necessary. And chances are we want to make a full copy of it. And we want to copy everything over. And I started with or finished with one was called a copy constructor, and one was called overloading an operator. We looked at an overloaded operator. This operator too is adding an integer to an integer, and the result was an integer. This was high space plus mom, and it's able to add two strings. So this operator that exists is overloaded. It can add integer and an integer. It can add a string and a string. It can add an integer and a double. So we're going to look at a way to overload this operator, that operator being the assignment operator. And we think about it right now, the assignment operator does something like num1, which is an integer, can hold the value of 16. This operator can work with doubles. Num1, da da da. So if this is a double and this is a double, the assignment operator is going to go, hey, there's a double on the left and a double on the right. Here's what I do. I take what's on the left and I make I take what's on the right and assign it to the memory location on the left. So it's kind of this overloaded definition already, but we're going to overload it a little bit more. Instead of just ints or doubles or that, we're going to do it with objects. So I'm going to start by saying, okay, this first one up here is a copy constructor. And if I asked you, see what you can remember, could you write a copy constructor for rectangle? Could you write a copy constructor for rectangle? This is more thinking than writing. I'm going to pause the video and give you a minute to see if you can jot it. One of the things to start would be, how do I write this? Well, if I remember before, I would do something like rectangle. This is to call it, and I would say R1, and it would be empty. Or I would do rectangle, which is the class name. I'm declaring R1, and I may send in a value like 6 for the length and 2 for the width. So my calling of it now is going to be rectangle R1, but this time what am I passing in?
R2.
R2. Yep, not D2, just R2. I want to pass in an object. So my argument is going to be an object this time. Okay, stepping through this, what is it I want to do? Copy constructor. What is being sent? When I go to send in R2, what is being passed over?
An address.
An address. Excellent. An address. Boom. I need to get the address. I'm going to just call it a generic name object. It's of type rectangle. Using rectangle as the first word tells my class it's a constructor. This is what's coming over. This is my parameter. Has to match my argument R2. Yeah, got it. What's one thing somebody may have put here that I didn't include that used to be required back in the late 90s, early 2000s? What used to be required of us? What is this?
Data type.
No, not a data type. What is this? We used to have to include this. And what that would tell the class was I'm working with the class's length and the class's width. So we may have touched out on that in 121. If you took 230 already, you would have seen this. We don't need it anymore. It's been eliminated. But way back when, as programming, as the languages have developed, they've eliminated us putting the this in to refer to the current class's length and width. Cool. Yeah, not so bad. Let's see if you go to D2L, I did give you that giant zip file of chapter 14. And if you go load up student test scores.h version 1, actually skip version 1, go right to version 2. The copy constructor in version 1 doesn't really do much for us. But if we get ready and we look at the one in version 2, we're going to see what we want to see. The class is called Student Test Scores. I don't want to screw anything up. This would be a habit that, once you start using it, maybe you would keep using it, like flossing your teeth. That's what they say. If you do it for 30 straight days, it'll become a habit. I come in and I copy the object student name into the current classes, the current object's student name. Here's test scores. Here's some deep, deep copying. I can't just copy over this array of test scores because what would copy again? Line 33, I would just be copying,
Addresses?
yeah, the address again. So I have to go deep, get down in there and copy all this stuff over. Good. Got the idea? Feel good about copy constructor? Okay, good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at how we might overload an operator. Okay, this is 15.4. Next Monday, we didn't meet this Monday because of the holiday. Next Monday, we get into lists, and then everything really starts to take off in the rest of the way through the book. But we're going to talk about overloading an operator. And you see there's a couple of things going on here. Plus equals is an overloaded operator. We've seen that a couple times. Funny, in 161 yesterday, they were asking, does plus equal work? I'm like, stop asking me, type it in and try it. Trying to get them into that habit. So we're going to take a look at, let me double check my notes. We're going to take a look at student test scores version 3. So you can load that up, and then we're going to start talking about overloading the equal operator. As always, the Gaddis book explains things really well, but a lot of times I'd rather just us figure it out on our own. So I'm going to guess. Oh, it actually says it right here. In the specification file is where you're going to find the constructors. Is that true? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. Want to make sure we're all there. All right, so we come in and let's see, we have the data type, the class student test scores. The operator we want to overload is the equals. The right side, I like that this is even called right, is also going to be of data type student test scores. All right, what does line 64 do? What you think?
Is it verifying that you didn't already copy it?
Yeah, it's making sure they're not the same. They're saying if this, which is the current call to a class, is not equal. If they're equal, I don't have to do it. They're the same what?
The address.
Yeah, the address. Very good, Shayana. Yep, they're checking out the addresses. And why do that? So is this line really needed? No, but it would save us lines of code. Okay, so what do we have here? Line 67, the student name is going to get copied over. So all of this is the work that's going to be done when I see R1 assignment operator R2. R1 assignment operator R2. Remember, this is just one of a lot of operators we know of. What about this one? R1, what would that do? Right now, it does what? Compares.
The first one just compares the addresses, but the second one compares the actual values of the variable.
Well, let's be careful. This one is the assignment operator. A single equals is the assignment operator. So this is copying the address over. That's it. This one is part of an if statement. This is saying, are the addresses the same, true or false? But we probably don't want to know that. We want to know if everything inside of R1 is equal to everything inside of R2. So yeah, this is the assignment operator. This is the comparison operator equals. So back up here, I'm overriding the assignment operator. Could I do the same with the double equals? Yep. Could I do it with the plus sign? Yep. I could do lots and lots of override. Oh, wouldn't that be nice if I had, and I wanted to add two rectangles together, and I said R1 plus R2, and I had written an overriding of the operator so that it would add those two, and I would have R3 equals R1 plus R2. That would add the lengths, assign it to this length, add the widths, assign it to this width. So another advantage of overloading operators is I wouldn't have to go in deep and do R1 dot length plus R2 dot length equal R3 dot length. Or blah 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 blah. Especially when we have lots of stuff that could be going on inside of there. So I come in, assign the student name, the test score, the number, excuse me, of test scores, and then all of the test scores. Okay. What do we miss? there's a couple lines in there that we didn't talk about. Line 66. There's no documentation to tell me what it's doing. Yeah, I know. What is line 66 doing?
It's a deconstructor, right?
Yep, it is erasing the old test scores because I'm going to add new test scores in. Clears them out. What about line 73?
Returns a value.
Returns the current object. So again, are you going to memorize all this syntax? Nope. Do you know now that we can overload operators and get through maybe 85% of this and then tweak it? Yeah, that's the answer. Okay, did the program run? Version 3, were you able to run it? Yeah. I guess that's a good thing. 14.7. It's actually an example of I have student 1, bunch of stuff going on here. Setting the scores. Student 2, student 3 is, oh, look at this. Student 3 is being assigned what student 2 was assigned. So this makes all 3 of these objects the same. Is it copying addresses? No, because we overloaded the equals. So now the equal says if there's one on the right and one on the left, assign all of the values inside to the left. Okay, this is no longer our normal assignment operator that would copy addresses. What can be overloaded? If you think about it, yeah, we have all of these. We had our traditional add, subtract, multiply, divide, algebraic operators. Then we threw modulus in. Here's caret. Wouldn't it be great to overload caret so I wouldn't have to call like a power function? Here's not. We could overload not to make it do crazy stuff. We could, well, there's the assignment operator. We get into our relational operators. There were 6 of them. Less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and not equal to. We could overload this, the plus equals, where it would simply, if we're working with the rectangle class, take the length and width of the object on the right and add it to the length and width of the object on the left. You talk 20 minutes. I know. Couple more, then I get to turn you loose. Go load this up, please. Contents of feet and inches, version 1. Give me a mountain, give me a dew. I like this program. This is one we're going to work with when I turn you loose. Yeah, thank goodness I don't make you do code listing because some of these get pretty long. Still haven't flushed the idea of doing it completely. All right, starting with the specification file. Starting with the specification file, checking out my members, my variables. I have feet, inches, and I have a private function called simplify. We haven't seen that much. We haven't done it that often. Simplify is nothing's going in, and it's a void method. Simplify is kind of cool. Simplify is going to say, if I do some work with feet and I do some work with inches and I add some feet and I add, what happens now if my total is 6 feet and 38 inches? What would we like to do to 6 feet, 38 inches? Convert that over to 9 feet and 2 inches. If I have 6 feet, and I said 38 inches, I'd like to be able to convert that to 9 feet, 2 inches. That's all Simplify does. It just checks and updates it, making sure that we can simplify it. Okay. I have a constructor in f equals 0 and I equals 0, sets everything to 0. Not sure why that one is written that way. A mutator. Ah, when we had mutators, we also had accessor functions. Set the feet, set the inches, get feet, get inches. And again, in my specification file, I'm going to overload the plus sign, the plus operator. I'm going to overload the minus operator. As we know, if this is in the spec file, the actual definitions are going to be in the implementation file. Sending in, oh boy, and okay, taking a look over here. I have an object and an object and an object, and I am going to overload adding those two together. As I add them, I'm going to return a temp. When these two get added, an object gets returned and assigned to OB. The address of temp will now become object one. What do? I come in and add right inches. That's from right. This inches, I add them together and I store them in a temporary inches. I add feet from object 3 to feet in object 2, and I'm going to store them in this temporary. I take the temporary and clean it up. Then I return the address. Syntax up above. Same with subtraction. Same with subtraction. Ooh. What's the one thing we would need to be careful about in subtraction? Negative inches, negative feet. Yeah. But what didn't they show us is my mistake. I skipped right over it. The first one is the actual simplify. We said it's going to be a void. Here's the name of the class that we're working with, feet inches. If inches is greater than 12, we take care of all that. Oh, if inches is less than 0, I'm guessing we're going to borrow one from feet and add it inside of here. The only thing this doesn't check for is what happens if the feet are negative. You could have written this, right? Let me see that emoji. Yeah, you could have written it. Yeah, there it is. Thumbs up. Look at that. Nice. Nicholas said, yeah. Yeah, Shayana and Hector, we got to get the moving one. There they go. Everybody's getting it. Simple things that amuse me. You don't have to load any of these up, but some of the other versions that are included in here overload some of the other ones. Like 1410, here we are, we're overloading the greater than. I could see if one is greater than the other before doing the subtraction. As feet is greater than feet, da 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 da, inches greater than. So all of a sudden, we're starting to get a lot of good stuff in here. If this is true, then I can subtract them. Here's less than. It's going to be kind of. Here is the comparison operator. We're overloading the heck out of everything. Okay. So what do I want? You got the idea, you got the concept, you need to play with it and practice it. So let's go back to my notes. There. What I want you to do is go use feet inches version 6. Should be a lot of good stuff already in there. One nice big giant program. Want you to, in your groups that I'm putting you in, include an add copy constructor. And as soon as you do this, what do? You go to the demo and test it out. Then I want you to overload the assignment operator. As soon as you do that, go to the demo and check it out. I don't think you're going to get to 4, but if you can get these first 3 done, you'll have a great understanding of what we were covering today. And again, once you do this, go demo it. Plus plus. What do we want to add when we do plus plus? We ought to make
one.
Add 1 to what? You decide. Add 1 to inches? I think that's probably best. Questions? Yeah, Kyle. No,
Yeah.
Kyle.
Oh, so
Yeah.
this is with feet inches version 6.
Is there a version 6?
I only have version 5.
A version 5?
I see version 5, yeah.
Okay, then I guess you're going to add it to version 5. That's what my paper says. Now. Other questions? We talked about this yesterday. I'm trying to get people to start to think a certain way. When you go in that group, you have a typer. That's all they're doing is typing. That's enough to do that. One person should be the typer. One person should be the thinker. You know, they're sitting there watching, coming up with ideas, telling the typer they typed something wrong. The third person should probably have a textbook. Third person should probably have the textbook, or if not the textbook, the Google. But I don't want all 3 or 4 people trying to type this up at the same time. We only need one typer. They can upload it in the discussion board at the end, and you can just go get a copy of it. You might not get done if you have 4 typers. So in order to get the most out of your group work, you know, yeah, try to fill these roles this way. I'd rather sit and watch and talk than type. I don't need to type it up. I'll let somebody in my group type it and go from there. Questions?